Welcome to Bantu Life and Culture, where the mysteries are being revealed. Why do people celebrate Good Friday? The most common answer to this question is that it is a commemoration of when our Savior died. But did our Savior really die on a Friday, and did he rise on a Sunday as many Christians believe today? Let's see what the scriptures have to say about this. First, let us examine the circumstances surrounding his death. According to Matthew chapter 26 verses 20 to 34, our Savior Msindisi commemorated and partook of the Passover meal in accordance to the command given in Exodus 12 verses 10 and 11, and Leviticus chapter 23. According to Matthew's account in Matthew 26 verses 20 to 34, Msindisi was arrested that same night he had the Passover meal. He was tried throughout the night and into the daylight, then he was sentenced and impaled. After his death, John, in John 19 verses 30 and 31 noted that Msindisi was impaled before a Sabbath, and the people besought Pilate that the body not remain on the stake on the Sabbath, for the day approaching was a high day Sabbath. When Msindisi therefore had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and gave up the spirit. The people therefore, because it was the preparation that the bodies should not remain upon the stake on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away. It is evident that the Messiah died before a Sabbath, as also verified by Luke in Luke chapter 23 verse 54, but let's say for argument's sake that Sabbath was a Saturday. Msindisi was to spend 3 days and 3 nights in the grave before he rose again. But he also rose at the end of a Sabbath, according to Matthew chapter 28 verses 1 to 6. When the women went to the grave in the end of the Sabbath as it drew toward the first day of the week. How do we get 3 days and 3 nights from a Friday night to the end of the following Saturday? That would be impossible. The Savior's death and resurrection was prophesied of by many accounts and highlighted some main things that were to happen at the time of his death. Let's check these without bias. Plain and simple reasoning. 1. He would be mocked, spat upon, and scourged. Mark 10 verse 33 to 34. Checked. 2. He would be pierced. Zechariah 12 verse 10. Checked. 3. He would raise again after 3 days. John 2 verse 19 and Matthew 12 verse 40, which states, "As Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Also checked. Christians have had no challenge with acknowledging the other happenings surrounding his death, so why is there a challenge with simply counting days and nights? But let's give that theory the benefit of the doubt and count 3 days and 3 nights from Friday night. Starting with the nights. We will use the daytime to refer to the day and night time for the nights. So here we go. Friday night and Saturday night. Counting the days, we'd have Saturday daytime and Sunday daytime, but then we can't really include any part of Sunday now, can we? Because when the women visited the tomb, as it dawned toward the first day of the week, he was already risen, according to Matthew chapter 28 verses 1 to 6. Hence it is impossible to get the 3 days and 3 nights from Friday night to Saturday evening or Saturday night. If you are counting days and nights and find that 3 days and 3 nights cannot fit between Friday night to Saturday night or Sunday morning, instead of adjusting the scriptures to match the theories, simply acknowledge that the theory must be wrong. What's certain is that when we book 3 days and 3 nights at a hotel, we clearly understand what a day is and what a night is. Now that we have cleared that up, let's get back to when the story started, the Passover. According to Leviticus chapter 23 verses 5 to 6, the Passover is commemorated on the 14th of the first biblical month at evening. Also in verses 6 to 7, on the 15th day was the first day of unleavened bread. The first day was a Sabbath. Hence, the day of the 14th would have been a preparation day for the Sabbath of the first day of unleavened bread. Now, can we align this to what happened at the time of and after our Messiah ate the Passover meal with his disciples? Now that we have identified the time of the Messiah's death in terms of the season, let's move to the next step in understanding the day of the week when he died. But to do that, we have to first understand what a day is according to the scriptures and when a day starts. In our time, we reckon the word day in 2 ways. 1. A period of 24 hours, and 2. The daytime of that 24-hour period. That's the same reckoning in the scriptures, except that we use the daytime to start the day, which is the opposite of the biblical reckoning. in which the nighttime starts that 24-hour period followed by the daytime. We see this in Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 to 5. In the beginning Sonini Nanini created the heaven and the earth was without form, and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of Sonini Nanini moved upon the face of the waters. And Sonini Nanini said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And Sonini Nanini saw the light that it was good, and Sonini Nanini divided the light from the darkness. And Sonini Nanini called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Going back to the Passover, the Messiah kept the Passover with his disciples in the evening, the beginning of the night of the 14th. He was betrayed and arrested later that same night. He was tried into the daytime of the 14th. By the time he was executed, it was nearing another evening, which would have been the evening of the night of the 15th. Remember that the 15th of the month was the first day of unleavened bread, which was yes, you guessed it right, a Sabbath. This Sabbath, as we highlighted earlier, was a high-day Sabbath, as it was not a weekly Sabbath. A high-day Sabbath can be any day of the week as it is a date, just like your birthday. The Sabbath mentioned in John 19 verses 30 and 31 was clearly a high-day Sabbath. We have identified so far when the Messiah died as the daytime of the 14th. He was buried just before the evening or night of the Sabbath of the 15th. He did as the scriptures foretold, spend 3 full days and nights in the grave. The accounts and testimonies then told us when he rose. In Matthew chapter 28, verses 1 to 6, in the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake. For the angel of Sonini Nanini descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him the keepers did shake, and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Missindisi who was impaled. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where Missindisi lay. By this account, it was drawing near to the first day of the week, in the end of the Sabbath. This was evening time, in the end of a weekly Sabbath, as the first day of the week only follows a weekly, seventh-day Sabbath, but he was already risen by the time the women got to the tomb. So, Missindisi wasn't there on the first day of the week after all. He was not risen on a Sunday. Now we know when he rose. The simple math is to count 3 days and 3 nights backwards to know when he died and buried, right? But remember, we have to use the scriptural reckoning for a day. Bearing in mind he rose before the evening or night of Sunday, the start of the first day of the week. Here we go, Saturday daytime to Saturday night, 1 day and 1 night, then Friday daytime to Friday night, 2 days and 2 nights, and finally, Thursday daytime to Thursday night, 3 days and 3 nights. Another way to count the days and nights could be to start with the nights first, counting backwards from Saturday, Saturday night, Friday night, and Thursday night for the 3 nights, Saturday morning, Friday morning, and Thursday morning, 3 days. That accounts for the 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, that is, in the grave. Hence, the Messiah actually died in the daytime of Wednesday. In case you are still trying to unravel the backward count, let us count forward, as we now know when the Messiah died. He died on the day we call Wednesday in the daytime, which is the 14th of the biblical first month, before the annual Sabbath on the 15th of the first month, the first day of unleavened bread. He died the 9th hour of the day, which is our 3 p.m., and spent his first night in the grave, what we call Thursday night, reckoning that the night comes first. Then Thursday, daytime, 1 day and 1 night. Friday night and Friday daytime, 2 days and 2 nights. Saturday night and Saturday daytime, 3 days and 3 nights. Then he rose in the end of the Sabbath as it dawned toward the night of the first day of the week. We did not snip up the days and nights to try to fit them into a narrative. We simply applied the scriptures to understand the scriptural narrative. What we also identified, as you may have also noted, was that there were 2 Sabbaths in the week surrounding the Messiah's death and resurrection. the Savior was impaled on the 14th of the first biblical month, on the Passover, the day after the Passover, as John chapter 19 verse 31 stated, and according to Leviticus chapter 23 verses 5 to 6, the annual Sabbath of the 15th of the first month, the first day of unleavened bread, which falls on any day of the week, as we have discussed earlier, and the second Sabbath was the one that came before the first day of the week, the weekly Sabbath, which was also the third day he was in the grave. Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. The striking thing here is he didn't rise on Sunday as most Christians supposed. It's certainly evidently to say Msindisi rose on a Saturday, not the first day of the week. Be like the Bereans, and search the scriptures to verify whether these things are so, and study the scriptures to show yourself approved unto Sonini Nanini. Thanks for being here with us, it was a pleasure having you here. See you next time, as we will explore the scriptures together.